When the rain falls down and storm clouds crowd around us, and when the darkness comes to steal my light, gotta shine my light, shine so bright. Be strong in the Lord, don't let them kill us.
I'm Elder Ricard of the Gathering of Christ Church, here with our weekly Patreon update. And I won't be here too long, brothers and sisters, for you on YouTube. First of all, I'll say greetings, because what we usually do, it's been a long time since I did a review on Patreon, so I can't be here too long on this platform because I want to do a short review on the movie Leave the World Behind.
Cyber attacks across the country.
Let me tell you, this particular, I would say, movie, Leave the World Behind, starring Julia Roberts and others.
Everything I know, I have told you.
It was quite eerie.
I would do anything to
looking
protect
at
my
this
family.
movie, because
What you do,
believe it or not,
is your
there's a
business.
lot of prophetic connotation within the particular this particular movie. See, some people think, of course, there's so many levels, right? And I'm going to talk about those
Haven't
on
you been picking
Patreon,
up
right?
What's going on out
What
there?
is the message? Leave the world behind.
Whatever it is, it's happening to
Right?
all of us.
Because there's two
I just wanna
separate
know.
messages simultaneously. Okay, for those who don't know, we're the Gathering of Christ Church. Shalom to all of you. There's a heavenly perspective of Leave the World Behind and a worldly perspective, right? And it's quite eerie that when I seen this particular movie on Netflix, Leave the World Behind, I'm not going to spoil it too much. So, right, make sure that if you haven't seen the movie, come back if you are a part of our Patreon membership. Come back after seeing the movie. I only suggest those if you don't want me to spoil it for you, to not get into the review first, then the video. All right. I mean, the movie. I don't want to spoil it for you, but for your Patreon members, let me get back to my original thought. Right. There's two separate perspectives. There's a heavenly perspective and there's the worldly perspective. Right. Where those who are, I would say, influenced through the powers of this world. Right. There's a such thing as lesser magic, where those that are operating from the dark side must tell the people what they're going to do before doing it. OK. It's called, amongst the so-called elite, okay, that's deep, Dale. I was going to mention that too. Thank you. That amongst the so-called elite, right, it's called lesser magic, where they have to tell the people what they're going to do before doing it.
Wanted, I would tell you. I would happily tell you.
Jesus.
Warlock. Oh, great. There goes the cell phone.
They knocked the satellites out of the skies now?
Right? And it so happens the Obamas produce this, right? So they have to tell the people what's going on, but we all know the Obamas are more so
I don't trust them.
in line
Everything I know
of the control mechanisms of the world. It's not as if they are controlling. I don't believe they're controlling anything, but more so they are in line with what's going on. And through the lesser magic, they must tell people what's going to happen before it happens.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
Now that's from a worldly standpoint. Now, from a heavenly biblical standpoint, it's deep me looking at this movie because a lot of the things the Most High showed us, even before YouTube or whatever the case is, us teaching out on the street, is exactly, right, some of the details in the movie, right? Now, and I'm not saying this because we're anything. I'm saying this because the Most High is everything. Without that biblical insight, where would the spiritual refuge for God's people and those who would seek refuge in such a time as this, where would the world be? If you're only examining this from a worldly standpoint, then it looks quite grim. See? But all in all, even the persecution and the grim parts of prophecy, there's a light at the end of this for those who can see. Right? So I'm going to do a review on this. There's two separate perspectives. When you look at this movie, Leave the World Behind, the worldly perspective and the heavenly perspective. I mentioned that earlier. The heavenly perspective it's in 1 John 2:15, where it says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. That's from those who can see and believe and understand what happens after this. After the total collapse of the infrastructure or the fall of Babylon. That's what the Bible calls it. Then there's the worldly perspective. For those who don't really believe in the Most High, but watch the markets to realize which way the wind is blowing so that they can know where to put their money or whatever the case is. All right. Knowing that the gig is up, right? Knowing that the gig is up, you have to be able to parlay your assets into the next thing in the world, whatever that might be. And keep in mind, Esau has always operated that way. Okay. He's always operated that way. He's from Mount Seir. And when I say Esau, the modern day Europeans, you have to keep in mind, the Bible says Esau is what you would call, to some degree, right? He's a drifter, right? He's a drifter. Esau in the Bible never had an original home, being that Jacob, his brother, received the birthright as well as the blessing. So he had to operate from the outside of society, from Mount Seir. See? And when Jacob fell, Esau had to do what? He had to operate within these nations until the Most High would give him dominion in the last days as a grifter, a drifter. So he would set up an empire or a society understanding that, okay, eventually people will understand what my true objectives are in the earth. And then once they do, we must pull the plug, only to go on to the next plan we have for world domination.
Distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Ms. Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names? Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leana Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds. And of course,
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
In 2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset,
We need a great reset.
which he positioned as the solution to the world's most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. His endgame mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down controlled, one world government and a central bank-controlled digital currency.
When they say, you'll be happy, what they mean is, you'll be enslaved. That's why they're talking about a great reset.
And that's from a world perspective, okay? So Esau, there's no empire he'll ever establish that he didn't realize eventually when the gig is up, I would have to parlay to our next plan for world domination. That's the world perspective. The Most High's perspective is even though Esau is on the run, setting up his established scenarios, he'll eventually run into a wall. He'll eventually run into a wall because why? Eventually what Esau sets up to destroy Jacob, who we are, will eventually fold in on itself to the point where it will become suicide for Esau. And what they're saying in this movie, believe it or not, is that the wall is here. Now, let me quantify that before going over to Patreon. And I'm going to give you a few scriptures also before going over there. Right? A matter of fact, let's start here. Let's start here. Right? One part of the movie that stood out, right, is the fact that there's a white family, black family dynamic trapped in one house.
You're not gonna believe this, but
It could have been any race of people.
left my wallet in my coat pocket.
Well, there's a white family and a black family trapped at the very end. I can let y'all understand that.
On your way home.
They're both dealing with the same level of circumstances when it comes to the fall of Babylon, right? Cyber attack. The grid gets disturbed. And it leaves these two people, two families together.
Looks like you did the right thing.
Right?
Out of the city.
Because really, these are the two main, I would say, characters in the Most High's production on earth. Right? So eventually, at the very end, they're in the house together. Right? Before its fall. Right? Like we were in the womb of our mother, Rebecca. I can show you better than I can tell you. Who are all the other nations? East Indians, Asians, and others. Well, folks, these are what you would call, under movie terms, extras. These are extras in the production. And right now where we're living according to prophecy, we're living in the last money grab that these nations can actually benefit from before the plug is pulled on America altogether. That's the conversation amongst the elite. Okay? We've squeezed everything we could out of this thing called Babylon. And here's the plan. Okay? We are to make Babylon bare and starve the righteous and those who believe in Christ out, and set the table where the people who are left turn on one another.
Let's begin. Chinese and Japanese hate each other. Indians and Pakistanis can't stand each other. Vietnamese and Cambodians do not want to be in the same room at all. Turks and Armenians hate each other. Turks and Greeks also hate each other. Turks and Kurds, they hate each other too. Honestly, Turkey is the Nini Leaks of Europe. They always at the center of some shit. You got the Russians and the Chechens, they always arguing. Hungarians and Roma, Dinka and the Nur, the Irish and the British, Scots and the British, English and the British. Honestly, that whole island hate itself. Ghana and Nigeria. Now, from what I understand about this beef, this one is mostly about rice. See, here's the thing. Nigerians think Ghanaian rice tastes like concrete, and Ghanaians think Nigerian rice is a bigger international crime than their email scams. Fortunately, centuries of colonialism have made both countries too poor to afford a nuke, so it don't really matter that much. Iranians and the Saudis, Saudis and the Houthis, Saudis and the Qataris, Saudis and the Israelis, although now they're becoming friends because they both hate the Iranians more. In a way, Iran is really bringing the Middle East together. You got the Sudan and South Sudan, North Korea and South Korea. Matter of fact, if there's two countries with the same name, they definitely hate each other. And then, of course, you've got the Israelis and the Palestinians. I said I'm not getting into it. All right, let's wrap this up. Last beef. America and everybody else.
And it has everything to do with that struggle between Jacob and Esau, what you would call the so-called black man and the so-called white man. Listen and listen good. What do we see here? What do you see on your screen? See that? You have a white family going on vacation, right? A white family going on vacation, chilling on a beach, right? Relaxing on a land that was stolen. Relaxing on a land that really was colonized and built on the blood of the children of Israel. The blood, bones, and tears, sweat, and our own hands built on the blood, sweat, and tears. The North American Indians are from the tribe of Gad. If you don't believe that, go to our past lessons and we can show you that. But in particular, what came to shore to actually disturb this white family's peace, who was going out to relax or whatever the case is. You know what disturbed their peace? This ship right here. And what is this ship? The White Lion. So this was a message that Esau and those that produced this behind way higher than Barack and Michelle Obama. They're telling the people, even their own people, the relaxation that came through colonization is over because Judah has arrived. What you mean Judah has arrived? Well, I need y'all to see this, which makes this very eerie for me. I need you all to see this. What are you looking at here? What are we looking at, pray tell? Well, brothers and sisters, what we are looking at here, right? What we are looking at, let me pull it up so you can see it separately here. What we are looking at is the slave ship. The slave ship that came to the shores of Virginia. Here's a 1901 illustration of the landing of the first Africans in Virginia, the White Lion. The first slave ships in Virginia was the White Lion. We know the whites, or they're not really white, but they're red, is Esau. And he came to enslave the Lion of Judah. The first slave ship that came off of the landing Negroes at Jamestown when the Dutch came to grab us was called the White Lion. Right? And then when you go back, the ship that have now come to shore to disturb the peace of those who stole the land is named the White Lion. So for those who know from the worldly standpoint of the elite, it can no longer be hid. Judah know exactly who he is. Judah understand who he is. And when we talk about slave ships, it go directly back to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. When it said what? That for disobedience, the Most High's people, the children of Israel, would go into slave ships, go into ships. By the way, where have I spoken unto thee? Thou shalt see it no more again. And now that Israel now we know who we are, especially Judah, folks. There's no way Esau can operate in relaxation and in peace, because part of their peace came through our ignorance, came through our people believing we were something else. So this is the message to the elite and to the people who have relaxed through the power of the elite and others subjugating the children of Judah. When you look at that white lion, this is prophecy. That white lion is that now the white lion has come to shore to disturb the peace, but they're not coming to shore as slaves. They're showing forth amongst the elite circles that who came on cargo slave ships. The White Lion, the Lion of Judah. Now, it's ironic that when you go into the first slave ships that came here to America, here's the eerie part for me, brothers and sisters. Listen, my parents, my grandparents on my father's side, my great-great-grandparents was on this ship. That's right. Was on this particular ship. And on top of that, a long line of preachers through the Shepherd family, Sheppard, came from the lines directly off of this ship. That's the eerie part of this. My father came out of eventually Newport News, Virginia. Okay, he met my mother in Louisiana. But that's right, folks. My father's father go straight back to this slave ship. Now look how the Most High bring it around full circle. that the same people, Israel, Judah, who came through the Red Lion, that the children would one day stand as the children of Israel, according to prophecy, to let Esau know his days of ruling are numbered. It's prophecy. White line. White line. Right? Now, there's so many levels to this. Like I said, the Gentiles, like the East Indians and others, they're just extras. They were told to come and grab everything America has to provide before they pull the plug altogether. That's the agreements with the elite. We could no longer benefit from the enslavement of the children of Israel because the children of Israel, they know now. They know they weren't born to be slaves. So this conspiracy of Psalms 83 we have, well, the gig is up. It's each man for his own. Come through America. Let's set up war. Let's set up everything. And we'll finance anything outside of these people to starve them out. Number one. And number two, to topple the economy by overspending. That would bring in the new spending system. Okay, which the Bible identifies in the book of Daniel.
You're seeing this broadcast. You are in a part of the country no longer.
I'm going to go there in a moment.
Of the United States.
Right? Boys, it's in the book of Daniel. But before I go there, now it tells us what the Gentiles will do. They're coming over here for a quick money grab. So when you see the Asians and immigration and all these others, this is a New World Order's agreement for the money grab. Because now the children of Israel is asking for something for themselves. No, we don't want to benefit other people. We don't believe in black and brown people. None of that. So now that they can't use us, they're pulling the plug in hopes of destroying us. But they counted one God out, one power out. The God who said that we would go into cargo slave ships. And the God that said that we would one day, in the same land that it was said that we were not God's people, that it will be told to them that ye are the sons and daughters of the living God, that we would rise through all of their conspiracies to destroy us. Because all they're doing is pushing us back closer to our God. Now we're seeing that none of these nations are for our turn. The only time they're with us is when it can benefit them. So now they brought in reinforcements. You've probably heard me say that before, right? So what is the role of your Gentiles, like your Asians and others? Well, let me show you. When you go to Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, the 15th and the 16th verse, it reads, shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her. Speaking of Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, as she have done, do unto her.
She say that? Just trust me. It's the Koreans, or the Chinese, one of them. We made a lot of enemies around the world. Maybe all this means is a few of them teamed up.
Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his own people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. So we know the Gentiles are coming into Babylon for the last money grab. And once this topples the economy, they're going to take the spoils to go back to build their own places. These immigrants that's coming over here, folks, the Gentiles, the Asians, the East Indians, they know it's temporary. Their governments are being told, if you're going to get something out of Babylon, get it now. We're pulling the plug. Y'all see this?
Don't you think it's weird that 15 billionaires built bunkers in the last week? What do they know that we don't? Billionaires such as Mark Zuckerberg, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, and even President Biden are rushing to build their own bunkers. Conspiracy theorists state that these rapid actions can't be coincidence and must have a deeper meaning, which seems believable considering all the tensions we currently have worldwide.
But our God told us this would happen. Folks, we were teaching this on the streets. 2008, before there was any such thing as the boom of called YouTube. We were teaching this. That the key indicator for our people and those who could see is when the people who are coming in for the money grab begin to shut down their shops and go back to their countries. That's going to be, that's right, that will be the indicator for us that these Gentiles have gotten the call, that they have received the call that eventually the borders will be shut. Listen to me, and I told you, when we get to this point, I told you, I would tell you. When you see the East Indians, Asians, and the immigrants not looking to come into the country, but their shops are shutting down and they begin to go into their own countries, you know that their governments receive the call to start, that's right, a return for their own people, a recall of their people. See, unless we knew the Bible, you wouldn't understand this, how it works geopolitically with prophecy. So that's a sign for us. When you see the Gentiles coming in, it's the money grab, because they are doing what? They're toppling. They're actually destroying the treasury to bring in the next level for the monetary system, the next phase. Understand that. So they must exhaust America's treasury to make an excuse to why they go to the next crisis. So the governments of the world were told behind closed doors, send your people now. Anything you're going to get it now. I'm going to send you amongst Judah. Okay. Now, if y'all don't leave in this certain amount of time, when we pull the plug, you all going to have to take care of those people in order to survive, and we'll come get you later.
If you don't think that this was their plan all along, perhaps you are the crazy one.
The Army and Air Force are looking to immigrants to overcome recruiting shortfalls. They've ramped up their marketing, including on social media, to entice legal immigrants to enlist. They're also using recruiters with similar backgrounds to appeal to potential recruits. But the biggest draw for migrants is the promise of a fast track to citizenship, plus jobs and education benefits.
Millions of military-aged immigrants having come across our southern borders since June. And then we're given the predictive programming, which I hope you all understand. A lot of us are aware that the movie Leave the World Behind is predictive programming. That's literally how they program people, because it is the plan. Some of us are aware, but the majority of the population is unaware, and they will just be programmed by that information. That's the way it works. They have the numbers in the zombies that cannot do any critical thinking. And now they're coming out with a Civil War movie in 2024. If you all can't see the agenda and everything that's taking place, I urge you to ask some friends that think the way that I think, or that talk about the things that I talk about. We don't talk about this stuff because we want you to like us. I'm prepared for people to not like me. I'm okay with that. I am completely okay with that. My content's not for everybody. The things that I share are not for everybody. I do not care if people like it or want to see it, because the people that do want to see this information and hear this information, we're already on the same page.
Good morning, Mateo. I wanted to inform you that your bus is delayed. Don't worry, I found you an alternate route, but you'll have to hurry.
Alright, thanks.
Mateo, you have an urgent message. It seems you are under arrest.
What?
Identity confirmed. Mateo Torres, you are under arrest. Please, put these on.
Well, why? I didn't do nothing.
Failure to comply will result in the use of non-lethal force.
Come on, man. I didn't do nothing. I'm just going to work. Why don't you just tell me what you think I did, and I'll tell you...
Failure to comply will result in the use of non-lethal force. Final warning.
Evie, can you call Jorge and ask him to cover my shift today?
Okay, contacting him now.
Now, before I go to Patreon, I'm already seven minutes over, right? Some people ask, well, how long? When it will be the indicator that we have to be in a certain area, right? The first indicator is you probably noticed an influx of different ethnicities, dots on their head, Asians, Chinese, Asians, they are Chinese or Asians, East Indians, and other races of people coming in boatloads into America, specifically in the inner city, right? So they're coming to make her naked, which is to take all the money they can now that the gig is up, right? To make sure nothing goes to us, they must come and spend, and exhaust the economy to build something in their country, okay? In preparation for the final war of Armageddon. Listen to this and listen to this good. This is a way deeper level than black and white people, even though we are the main characters in the Most High's production. In God's production on earth, it's Jacob and Esau. Jacob is the so-called black man, and Esau is the so-called white man. These are the major players in all of this, right? So then the book of Daniel told us how long we would have when they begin to shut things down, right? When you go to the book of Daniel, let's get it real quick. All right, let's get it real quick. Let's go to the book of Daniel. When you go to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, right? It speaks of a time such as now, where it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, right? Every nation has a what you would call a principality from the heavens over it, right? Under Christ, Michael is that prince that fight for us, in the unseen realm on this earth. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Now, those who don't have the seal of God in their heads will fall for every trick Esau rolls out. Okay, if the last crisis didn't teach us anything, what we witness are the people who don't have the Spirit of God in them to a degree to receive his law. And this is why they were able to fall victim to Esau's tricks, right? But those with the seal of God in their mind isn't going to fall for any trap Esau set for Jacob. Esau brings something. I don't care how good it might sound. Jacob says, brother, thank you, but no thank you. Give it to your family. Give it to your people. We good. Those who have the mark. But when I say the mark, we're talking about the mark of God, the Holy Spirit, where you're sealed unto the day of redemption. That's the Most High's mark. But Satan has an artificial mark that people will get through fear. See, anyone who makes choices strictly off of fear over faith will fall. Right? But let's get straight to the point so you'll understand the indicator of how much time when it all goes down. Daniel, the 12th chapter and the 10th verse stated what? Many shall be purified. That's repenting, getting baptized, and receiving that seal, and made white. So even though your sins are red as crimson, you shall be made white as snow. You'll be cleansed of your former sins. And tried. That means it isn't going to be easy, brothers and sisters. There will be tribulation. But the wicked shall do wickedly. They're going to continue to be wicked, and none of the wicked shall understand. But the wise shall understand. And it's deep because even in this movie, brothers and sisters, even in this movie,
you know something.
Those who were well-to-do, even white people,
I had a sneaking suspicion, but I wanted
they didn't understand either.
All sides were there, sure.
It was the black guy in the movie who knew exactly what was going on more so
You'd have called me crazy because
than the white people.
It would have made more sense if we were on the brink of an all-out invasion. But this... I didn't think we'd actually let something like this happen. I thought we were smarter than that.
What happened?
Because my primary client works in the defense sector, I spent a lot of time studying the cost-benefit analysis of military campaigns.
So you're in the market to take over a country, to liberate its people, and to exploit its natural resources, steal its money, or just to earn the title of the world's newest dictator. There are a lot of benefits that come from launching a coup d'etat. And you're not alone. For decades, global superpowers like the US have gone crazy with coups and rigged elections to get the people they wanted in power. In the 42 years of the Cold War, from 1947 to 1989, America was involved in at least 70 attempts to overthrow governments.
There was one program in particular that terrified my client the most. A simple 3-stage maneuver that could topple a country's government from within. First stage was isolation. Disable their communication and transportation. Make the target as deaf, dumb, and paralyzed as possible, setting them up for the second stage.
It's being called a ticking time bomb. The New York Times reports the Biden administration believes Chinese hackers have installed malware on U.S. networks that could affect both military and civilian operations. Officials say the malicious code could disrupt power grids, communication systems, and water supplies that feed military bases around the world. But the impact could spread much farther, as that infrastructure often supplies civilian homes and businesses. A National Security Council official did not acknowledge the malware directly, but said the Biden administration is working relentlessly to defend the United States from any disruptions to our critical infrastructure.
Synchronized chaos. Terrorize them with covert attacks and misinformation. Overwhelming their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists in their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people would start turning on each other. Done successfully, the third stage would happen on its own.
What's the third stage?
A coup d'etat. Civil war.
America. The so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
Collapse.
The Trump legal team has their sights on Tuesday to appeal the ballot decisions in Colorado and Maine. Right now, there are 13 states with pending action to bar Trump from the ballot. The lawsuits are using a Civil War-era clause in the Constitution that bans a person involved in an insurrection from holding public office.
I don't know how to
Weighing
use a
up the
gun.
mood of conservative America in a gun show in West Virginia. Among the rifle racks and ammunition, there's anger and dark talk of looming conflict.
I'm very worried about this country, where it's going. If it keeps heading down the same way, they're going to push people into another civil war.
He's not the only one. Robert Brown sells vintage guns from the 19th century and says he also worries that civil war could be on the way back.
It could get worse. And it seems like every day it does get worse. And that's not good for us.
And if it gets worse, what kind of things do we see?
Well, not short of civil war. People's not going to stand for all of this shit. It's going to be, you get your back on the wall, you got to come off of it.
You think there could be another civil war?
A possibility. A possibility.
Seriously?
Unfortunately. A lot of talk of it.
We found a lone Democrat at the show, here to buy ammunition, he said, in case things escalate.
If half the country decides to start going and killing Democrats, then, you know, I don't want to be a victim, you know. And, like, honestly, I've never thought about that happening until this election.
There's like a whole army
You know,
that's
like
killing people.
legitimate fear.
Just here, everywhere.
You seriously think that's a possibility?
Absolutely.
So this is 762 by
It makes for a combustible atmosphere as America braces for Donald Trump's second impeachment trial. At a gun store across town, no one wants the ex-president tried again.
It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. He's out of office. What are you going to impeach him for? Impeachment is supposed to remove him from office. He's already been removed. Whether you believe whether the election was stolen or not, I'm not going to get into that. But he's out of office. He's gone.
In this part of America, it's like the election isn't over because so many won't accept its result.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
hands of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol.
Every instinct in me says this is death.
Blooded.
Every time I survived a war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? We're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
Move, move, move!
We're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, 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 go!
God bless America.
Right? So in order for them to lie to our people, they had to lie to their own, like I told you. And eventually, they would hit a wall. As long as your lies affected the people you were targeting, it was okay. But eventually, you would need to lie to the world. And now, the ill effects of your lies that have affected our people would begin to affect yours. And that would begin to topple society.
Who are the economic hitmen? Are they putting insolvent countries in huge debt in order to control them and profit from their resources?
The rich were getting rich, but the poor were getting poorer.
I think what's important is that it absolutely happened and it benefited a small group of rich people in the global north.
That it's important for people to understand. This is a systemic problem.
Crashed into one of the towers.
Money was being diverted from health care, education, to pay off the loans.
There were a lot of people that did benefit from these crises.
Everything has been done to keep this game going.
Are there economic hitmen from powerful organizations that get poor countries to sign up for infrastructures that they don't necessarily need and take up loans that they essentially cannot repay in order to make profit?
The writer talked about economic hitmen who coordinate with bigger nations to exploit and devour poorer countries. Professional people whose job is to deceive countries and extort them with trillions of dollars. Is this a colonial tactic to strip countries of their resources and political will? A country that needs to build or renew its infrastructure will need capital. It also needs the expertise, technology, equipment, and all of that. Developing countries likely will import some or all of this from another country. In order to pay for the imports, they will take a loan. It seems simple and straightforward, right? Fortunately, I can talk to someone who did this job. His name is John Perkins. I want to ask him about his previous job.
I was recruited by a big international consulting firm called Charles T. Main, which has since been bought, so the name no longer is out there. My title was chief economist. And I had as many as 50 people working for me. My job really was to identify countries that had resources our corporations wanted, like oil, like in the Middle East, oil, and then to arrange for a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or the IMF or one of the sister organizations. But the money would not actually go to the country itself. The country would collateralize the loan with its resource, but the money would go directly to our own corporations, big engineering companies like Bechtel and Halliburton and Brown and Root, and my own company would get a piece of the action to build infrastructure projects in the country, things like power plants and industrial parks and highways, things that benefited a few rich people in those countries, as well as making huge profits for our own corporations. For a long time, I thought I was doing the right thing, as many people in that business do. But over time, I began to see that those statistics, GDP, gross domestic product, and other statistics are very skewed to the rich. And so the rich were getting rich, but the poor were getting poorer because money was being diverted from health care, education, and other social services, and just basic foods and supplies to pay off the loans. I should mention one other thing, that the presidents of these countries knew that if they accepted the loans, they were putting their countries deep into debt, but they were going to get wealthy off this. Their families were going to benefit because they owned the businesses, they owned the industries, they owned the things that were helped by electricity and so forth. But there was another incentive for them, and that was that what we call jackals were in the background. And these are CIA assets usually, who overthrow governments or assassinate their leaders.
John Perkins is not the only one that spoke about this. Many others say that developing countries which are in heavy debt may go through coups and assassinations as a result of not wanting to play by these rules. And they say that these institutions and companies that lend countries have thousands of employees, and some jobs there are to manufacture and manage such crises. In the middle of so much data, someone could say, well, these countries and regimes accepted the deal and committed willingly. Nobody forced them. I will ask this question to the American economist, Richard D. Wolff.
Hi, Professor Wolff. How are you?
Very good. I'm very glad to be here.
What can you tell me about the so-called economic hitmen and corporations or institutions that strangle countries' economies?
First of all, it happens all the time. It is nothing new. It is not rare. It is common.
So somebody from a powerful corporation goes and
will sometimes connect to a local equivalent of himself and cut a deal and say, look, I'm going to get paid $10 million for getting this done. I will give you $2 million if you become my local eyes and ears to help me work this out.
Forgive me if I will sound naive. Isn't the country receiving this loan participating willingly in this terrible deal?
Happens all the time. People from third world countries can get into that because they understand this game and they get the job because they say, I know better about the details of local politics. And by the way, it often fails. Don't imagine it's all so smooth. Sometimes one of these people will get drunk and say the wrong thing to the wrong person. Sometimes a local official will have a change of heart and want out of this situation. Sometimes people who take a portion then get blackmailed by somebody else who knows they did that, and now they have to get out of that. International credit is a very complicated, sneaky, personal business that can have all the different twists and turns that you can imagine.
Sometimes we have whistleblowers, people who speak up out of principle. this could change things, actually, right?
The only answer I can give you is that everything has been done imaginable to keep this game going. And one of the most important things is that when you get caught, either nothing is done or one or two individuals are punished, but you never change the basic system. And let me be for a moment the advocate of the banker who initiates this. That banker knows that if he can work 3 or 4 big deals, one in Ecuador, one in Mali, and one in Malaysia, he will be promoted to the president of the bank. That's how you succeed in the bank. They don't care how you do it. You shouldn't embarrass the bank, of course, but your job is to get that loan done. So if you don't, because you are honest or you have scruples, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You are destroying your own career. So often you will, if you know these people, they will tell you they have no choice. And that it's important for people to understand. This is a systemic problem.
Right? Now let's get into time real quick. Time. And from that time that the daily sacrifice, man, this is eerie because I taught this lesson online in one of my first lessons online in YouTube. I was teaching from the streets. And from that time, the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. What is the daily sacrifice being taken away? What is that? Well, the daily sacrifice taken away is when what? The daily sacrifice, brothers and sisters, is the food we pray over. That's right, folks. When you look in the Old Testament, our sacrifice went up as a sweet savor before the Most High. And this is where we get praying over our food from. Thanking the Most High for allowing a sacrifice to nourish us from one day to the next. So when it states, and from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, well, how will the daily sacrifice be taken away? When they set up the mark of the beast system, where you cannot buy or sell until you comply with the new spending system. That means you're not going to be able to go into your supermarkets and get anything unless you are in full compliance with the mark of the beast.
So look at this. You're in London, you're on a business trip, you're staying in Greenwich, and you want to buy some food. So you go into the local Aldi's, like this one, and you think, I'm going to go in here and buy some food so that I can feed myself. And then you approach the barrier, and look, you can't even get in the shop without having a QR code to scan here, or to scan here, and then you can go in and buy things. Now this looks to me like the beginning stages of the digital prison that we keep talking about. What do you think?
That's when there's no more what? Physical currency, all electronic. That's an indicator of the daily sacrifice being taken away. Listen to this and listen to this good. That's food. And you notice when it comes to, it's no coincidence that when it came to the shots and all these other things out there, that they set these places up in the same place you buy your daily sacrifice. That's why your pharmaceuticals and all that is in the same place you must get your food in supermarkets. It's no coincidence, right? And the abomination that maketh desolate is set up. That's the new system, folks. The abomination that maketh desolate. Think about it. When was the abomination set up to make us desolate? It happened in 70 AD. When the Romans, the abominable people, came to make Israel, our homeland, desolate. So now it's given us a time period. From the time they set up a what? A no money system. Up until the time the abomination that maketh desolate is set up. Right? Listen to this time period. There shall be 1,290 days. Okay. So when they set this up, the other nations are going to have about 3.5 years to relocate out of America into their respective homelands after robbing it and making America bare. This is how all the power is going to go back to Europe as far as the bank system. Then the Bible states, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 days. Right? So it lets you know we must make it a little past that. There will be a 3.5 year period to be able to maneuver regularly when they set up the electronic system. And the Most High is going to give us about 1.5 months beyond that to be in those locations already prophesied in Scripture. So we do have time. We do have time, but not that much time. Right? We have time to be tried and be made white, which is pure, by following God's law so that our spirit, our conscience is clear when the time comes. Okay? Also, in the midst of this, when the bank system begin to topple, that's right. If the liberal Satanists seek to finesse the electoral system, like we've seen in prior elections, there will be a civil war. So with the accumulation, the compounding of them, what? The nations taking all the money out of the treasury, and America fighting on either side against one another with two separate governments set up. That's right. We are to look now at the merchants. The Bible tells us about the merchants in the book of Revelation. Well, the merchants will begin to go in number out of our particular areas so that we can be left to be utterly eradicated. That will be the sign to begin to move out as they're moving out. Not in mass. There will not be a mass exodus like it was coming out of Egypt. It won't happen. The sign is when we see the merchants shutting down. Now, they showed a little sign when all the stores shut down before, but it wasn't for what everyone thought it was. Okay? When we see that happen again, where the merchants have for sale on their particular stores, and there's no more brick and mortars that you can actually go into in our neighborhood to buy like we see now, Walmart's shutting down, right? Where they call it a food desert. When you see the other nations' merchant shops shut down, know that they have received the call from their government to go back into their countries. This is all biblical prophecy.
God bless America.
Okay. Now this is to be continued. This is to be continued. But it's time for us to get ourselves right with the Almighty to receive the seal, so to not operate in fear. Folks, let me tell you, you have nothing to be afraid for if you're under the power of if you're under the grace and guidance of the Almighty. Our God said this would happen. And what you don't see amongst the invisible is that Michael and the angels under him standing up to make sure those who are in Christ protected. You don't see that, but they're working. And those who belong to the Almighty, it's hands off. See, this warning for this particular movie, folks, this is a warning to them. This is the elite warning the people who came over and benefited from the enslavement of the children of Israel. This was their warning. Our warning comes from the word of God. So we're going over, I'm going to take about 1 hour and we're going to review. We are going to review. That's right. We are going to review this particular movie. Leave the world behind. That's right. Esau was chilling on the desert for vacation, and all of a sudden the peace was disrupted by the name of the same slave ship our foreparents came over on. Look at this. The White Line. First slave ship going into Virginia. My great grandparents was on this ship. The White Lion. Why is Esau running on the beach right now? In the movie, what was the warning to them? That has come around full circle. The White Lion. The people of Judah know now.
Excuse me, officer. You know what
And now,
a handful of these groundings up the coast.
it's over. There'll be no rest in the land that was stolen.
Keep it moving, guys.
It's time for you to leave the world behind, because the world is almost at an end. Not our world, but this world. Shalom. In about 5 minutes, let me set up, brothers and sisters, and we're going to review in pieces this particular movie, Leave the World Behind. Again, I do not want to spoil the whole dynamic of the movie from you if you haven't seen it already. So please, if you didn't see it, wait, see the movie first. It's on Netflix, and then come back and view the review with us. Right? Someone says here, these are some of the answers we needed. Exactly. So understand, when you start seeing the Asians and others, when you start seeing them leave America and close up shop for good, you have some time. All right? Right now, prepare in case they shut things down for a week or so. Food. Get alternative power sources. And networking with those in like mind. Let me tell you, if you bring someone in who's under fear, who isn't under the spirit that you're under, they will become your undoing. I'm going to tell you this right now. They're going to let someone in. They're going to let someone in that you didn't want. And here it is. You're trying to save this person. And they're going to bring someone in that's going to destroy everything. So be ready to let go. Even some of those who are close. With that, come on, Patreonies. Come on over and let's review it together. I love stuff like this. Leave the world behind. I'm going to start it up about 5 minutes. Shalom. And again, January 7th is the new academy. I want you brothers and sisters to come on in there because we're going to have a brand new academy and it's not like anything you've seen out there. All right. So please join this academy. Tomorrow, I'm going to be going over some of the lessons you can look forward to. Thanks again. Support the work. It tell you how to do it right here. Okay. GOCC 144 donate. If you have Cash App, if you don't have Cash App, go to gatheringofchrist.org. Go hit the tab where it says donate. And I'm sure there's some options there. You can help support this work. We're going to need it because we're preparing. Okay. And also go to historytimes.org to enroll. historytimes.org, enroll. Okay, while this information is still flowing through the Spirit, get it while you can. historytimes.org. Let's go over and review the lesson, or not the lesson, the movie, Leave the World Behind. We're going to take 1 hour. We're going to review it, then open up the lines, and I need to hear some of the perspectives, or even how some of you brothers and sisters, how some of you may have picked up a few things that you probably didn't, that I probably missed. Who knows? I'm just dealing with things from a prophetic standpoint, right? So maybe you noticed something while viewing this particular movie that we need to talk about, okay? So what I'm going to do is open up the review for 1 hour. We're going to take pieces of it, not the whole thing. We have to respect someone's work, which is the movie, but still we're going to take a lot out of it. And then after that, we're going to take about 30 minutes for phone calls. Shalom. And we'll see you on the other side, Patreon.com/agathering144. Join Patreon and let's review this together. And have a great Sabbath. Shalom. historytimes.org. And don't forget, join the academy. Come on, Patreonies. See you over there.
Just something different, just something different, just something different. We jumped fresh off the boat, ready to help our people who lost that land, needing water again. Nemo, who's that? You're shy of the Christ, ain't come to play nice and come back boost with a knife if you ain't live right. Thin ice, your head up below, cracking the surface. Nervous while on your knees while you beg for mercy and purpose. Furnace is getting hotter than stove tops and bullets from glass when a shot at the sweat from your top while you drop from all your eyes. And the cops non-stop running, gunning at the mirror that's black, reflecting on the melanin, scared to lift the sun in. Hunting is how they make a check. Serial killers turn rappers, is who they milk like breasts. I protest. We see the signs, Christ is still alive. They can kill our bodies, but can't steal at a higher place to side. We got heart, no tan, man. We don't meddle with scarecrows. Tornadoes can stop the path when you want that yellow brick road. Turkey, yo. Slow it down, don't make a sound for name about I got that we ain't coming outside. With their juice, Tupac jabbed up like who got the shot? Not me. I got the eyes to see the poison diabetes. The vaccinated disintegrated when everything elevated. We seeing the perpetrators knocking down the door. We want fofos, saints marching in like popo. Leave them stringed up like yo-yo. We got the power, no puffs needed to get our mojo. Call me professor, cause my spirit is nicer than the sugar and spice. Ahead of the gang like lice with chemical X. I might entice Malcolm and Mike to fight. No M&M's, but my guy bigger than rap devils. No MGK, I battled them. Headshot to industry puppets. I stopped the traffic like running from cops at a pit stop with Chris Rock. Taking the wheel in the pursuit the hell fast and crash like solar moving fast. You in the past, Matthew 5. You gotta apply your shot teachers on the mouth. No cyanide, we connected like Wi-Fi. Killing demons like sci-fi. Alienated from families, tragedies happen so rapidly. But we revive even when we die. But who will listen? I don't know. But when a higher calls me, I will go. Many are called, but few are chosen. I push up and pull up scriptures until I'm swollen. Creatine, no vaccine, no melatonin. I ain't sleep, I'm awake. No birthdays, no holidays. I celebrate. We just something different. I'm on the mission to help our people see out of the visions, to teach our children how to love God, keep His commandments, and they get baptized. Put on the new mind and realize we all been compromised. Just something different. Just something different. Say we just something different. Hey, just something different. Yeah. I say we just something different. I said we just something different, just something different. Yeah, we just something different, just something. Teach all our children just how to love God. Keep His commandments and baptize, but on a new man and realize we just something different, just something different. Yeah, we just something different, just something different. Been on a new man, teach all our children how to love God and realize we all been compromised because we just something different, just something different. Yeah, just something different, just something different. Teach all our children just how to love God and keep His commandments, get baptized, put on a new man and realize